Today we're going to take a look at an ITX open air case from a company called XWORKS that's small enough to fit in the palm of my hand. Not too long ago, XWORKS reached out to me and asked if I wanted to take a look at their X32 case. I had never heard of the company, but I checked it out and it looked like something that would be very interesting. An open air 3.2 liter compact ITX case that takes flex ATX PSUs and really had a unique visual style to it. So I checked it out, and today we're going to do a build in it and see how it performs. The X32 does not come assembled. You will have to put it together. In the packaging you get quite a bit actually. So we have our two sides there, I guess the spine of the case, your base, a riser cable. You also have your power supply. There's no support for SFX or anything like that. This is what you're going to want to go with. And then they also included some cables here. Then there's a host of accessories, so some zip ties, some Allen wrenches there, some rubber feet for both of these side panels here, a nice little vandal switch there, or power button, a little belt bracket, which I'm sure we'll figure out what that's for, the handle, and then also your screws, washers, all that good stuff is included in there. So it's a much more premium package and experience than I would expect from a smaller company. This is what you would typically get from one of the larger manufacturers, so everything looks really good. The X32 ships in a small, well-packaged box. You do have to assemble the case. Putting together the case is fairly simple. There are two main side panels, a handle, and a series of screws and standoffs that you have to install like you would on any typical case. It only took me about 10 minutes and it was painless. There is a good set of instructions on their website that you can go to and gives you a step-by-step guide as to how to install everything, where everything goes. It was really simple. What I was really impressed by when building in this case was how well laid out and well thought every single screw is. A lot of the screws go through one side and they attach another panel or another piece. Everything is super well thought out and well engineered. A really well designed case, and that comes through in the final design when the case is all set up. For those of you thinking about picking up the case, I would definitely recommend getting the custom power supply cables that you can get with the system. They both tie the system look together and also keep everything nice and neat, as they are the perfect length for your GPU and motherboard. One tip for building in this case: install the power supply cables before you put the two side panels together, because you cannot access the power supply once you do. All right, so here it is. Here is the case fully assembled. It looks really good in my opinion. The first thing that you'll notice is how compact it actually is. It's very small. It essentially fits right in the palm of my hand there. But it's got a good weight to it, especially with the power supply. It's got a good weight. It feels very sturdy, not like it's going to fall apart or fall over when you put components in it. I think they did a really good job with overall build quality. There's not a lot of sharp edges or anything like that, which are going to cut you or hurt you or anything like that. And it looks really good, especially I'm imagining when I get the components in there, it will look even better. The handle, which is something I didn't think I was going to like, but it's actually a great touch, because I can see a use case where you're just kind of picking this up off the desk or moving it wherever you want throughout your house or your living room, what have you, and it's perfect, and it actually looks really cool, and it keeps you from accidentally pressing this power button here. So I think everything build-wise looks great. I'm going to go ahead and pop the side panels off here and then put the power supply cables in, and we'll get started on the build. For parts today, we're going to go with a 2060 Mini, as well as a Gigabyte X570i motherboard with a Samsung M.2 drive on the backside, and also 16 gigs of RAM. And to cool everything, we have a Noctua NHL9A with the Chromax fan. So here we have the fully assembled case. I think all together it looks really nice. You can see up front we have our fan and motherboard. The layout is obviously really simple. One of the nicest additions, or the things that I didn't think I would like, is this handle, but I think it actually looks good and makes it super easy to carry, move, pick up the case. I think it's great. The custom length cables that kind of fit perfectly in their spot. You have one here that's going obviously to the 24 pin. There's another down here going out to the motherboard, and then you have one up top for your GPU. They're cut to the perfect length, and they also look really nice. They're cable combs, which I'll put on in a second to make it a little bit neater. Sliding around back, we have our shroud here for the power supply, which looks really nice, but also has some decent ventilation. And then you have our GPU here as well, which fits obviously perfectly into this spot. It's like it was tailor-made for this. I think everything here looks really good. This is one of my favorite cases from a looks perspective, and from a convenience perspective. I think it's a very interesting and well thought out design. One of the best engineered cases I've seen in quite a while. Because this is a well laid out ITX open air case, the build process is actually super easy. It might be the easiest actual assembly of components that I've seen from any case. All you have to do is line up your cables, put your motherboard in place, screw it down, pop in your graphics card, plug everything in, and it's good to go. I would recommend putting the cable combs on the cables before you install your components if you got the optional custom power supply cables, because it makes it a lot easier than trying to do it after the fact. One of the best things about open air cases is typically performance. There's nothing to hold heat in, there's no turbulence generated from any of the fans, and the X32 is no exception. It performs really well. It's going to perform as good as the cooler and fan you put on it. Same with the GPU. It's going to perform as good as that cooler and fan on the GPU are, so you really don't have any concerns there. It functions typically as any other open air test bench or system would. I was more interested to hear how the acoustics of the case were. Obviously, with an open air system, sometimes that benefits the case because the fans don't have to spin as loud, there's no turbulence, but it can also be worse in a case that has a flex ATX PSU, which are notoriously really loud. So let's take a listen at the system at idle and then also under a gaming load. So as you heard, it's not bad at all. That Flex ATX PSU fan does spin up a bit under load, but it really is manageable. And because it is an open air system, I noticed that the GPU and CPU fans did not have to spin up as loud as they typically would if they were in a standard enclosure. So overall, after testing out the X32, I really do like the case. It's very, very well made. Everything was well thought out, from the layout of the components to the custom cables that you can get and the power supply. Everything fits perfectly. It looks really good, and it actually performs well as well. What really stood out for me about the case was its support for 2.5-inch drives in the internal spine, which is something you really don't typically see for open air test cases, and also the optional custom cables that really make everything look super neat and tidy in a way that you really can't get typically from either open air test benches or also even standard enclosed cases. The only issues I have are really surrounding price and use case. For pricing at $180, that is a very premium price for a case that can really only handle up to a certain level of components due to the power supply. And that leads into the use case. You have to be very specific about the type of system you build in here, and you have to really know that this is what you're looking for. If you want this kind of styling, the performance that you can get in terms of cooling from an open air system, or just that ultra compact look on your desk, this is a really cool option. It looks really good on the desk. It's well built, like I mentioned, and it performs well, but just know that ultimate compatibility with a wide range of components, this does not have that. If you're looking for more performance down the line, you're probably going to have to upgrade to a different case and power supply, etc. So that's something to consider. If you want to learn a little bit more information about the X32, I'll drop links to my article on the website, as well as a link to the XWORKS website, and also links for all the items that we use here in today's build. So as always, thanks for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you liked the video. I'm Jay. I'll see you next time.